Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 252 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's body was filled with thunder and crisp popping sounds could be heard in the silence. Wang Lin silently pondered a bit before walking forward. Crunching sounds could be heard as he walked across the collapsed stone square. The moment he stepped outside the square, all the other participants took a step back. They all looked at Wang Lin with fear in their eyes. After a moment of silence, the surrounding cultivators began chatting with each other. This was far outside of everyone's expectations. This Shumu had left an unforgettable impression in the minds of all the surrounding cultivators. In the human trial, he battled Russell. In the earth trial, he devoured the thunder spirit. This is not something an ordinary cultivator can do. I just don't know how this Shumu will do in the heaven trial. Master Demon Shumu. He is indeed powerful. Today I'm finally convinced of all the rumors. This person is definitely not someone to underestimate. It is best not to provoke him. He will definitely be top 3 in the competition. Even some of the old monsters' eyes were lit up. There was a hint of admiration in their eyes as they looked at Wang Lin. What their all-heaven star system needed were junior cultivators like this. In particular, the Xiong family ancestor nodded. The more he looked at Wang Lin, the more he liked Wang Lin. He couldn't care less about the Thunder Celestial Temple's loss. He just thought that this Shumu was very much like the members of his own clan. There was a sense of an evil aura about him. The messengers in the sky were speechless and no longer beat the drum. In their minds, if Shumu persisted, even if they beat the drum until it was smashed into pieces, there wouldn't be any point. They looked at each other and revealed wry smiles. However, their gazes toward Wang Lin contained no jealousy, there was actually a trace of admiration. Wang Lin turned a blind eye to all of this. After leaving the square, he clasped his hands at Master Flame's Park and said, "Junior made a mistake. I hope Senior won't mind." His words were very much like his senior's, Qing Shui's. When Celestial Lord Qing Shui heard this, he revealed a smile. Master Flame's Park smiled and said, "No harm done. Giving up a mere Thunder Lake and the clone of a Thunder Spirit to help a powerful junior become stronger is worth it. As for destroying the Thunder Lake, just obtaining enough military exploits in the battle against the Alliance star system will be enough." With that, he pointed with his right finger. With this point, the world seemed to shake and endless origin energy gathered. The origin energy suddenly turned into a rune. This rune was filled with vitality. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He could clearly feel a trace of source origin energy in that rune. Although it was only a sliver, it filled this rune with endless power. Master Flame's Park flicked his finger and the rune flew out to the square. The moment the rune landed, the origin energy scattered. The sliver of source origin energy also went into the square. The surrounding cultivators all exclaimed as the cracked square began to reform as if time was rewinding. Even the stones that had turned to ash and dissipated reappeared from the void and formed the square once more. All of this occurred in an instant. The entire square had returned to normal, the only difference was that there was no thunder. After Wang Lin watched at all of this unfold, he seemed enlightened. The next will be the last of the 3 trials, the Heaven Trial. Master Flame's Park turned to Li Yunzi and said, "Fellow cultivator Li Yun, please." Li Yunzi raised his right hand and reached out at the void. A crack appeared and cold air blasted out from inside it. Then Li Yunzi reached into the crack and pulled out a scroll. This scroll was old, and it gave off an ancient aura. After taking out the scroll, Li Yunzi threw it and it flew into the air. In the air, the scroll gave off a black glow as it slowly opened, revealing what was inside. There was only one word on the scroll. Battle. Although it was only one word, it gave off intense killing intent. If one looked at it, they would feel like they were on an Azura battlefield. The Zhon family's treasure, the Battle Scroll. One of the 10 treasures of the All-Heaven Star system, the Battle Scroll. Only the Zhon family members are allowed to view it, but this time it was able to broaden my horizons. It is that treasure. Rumor has it that the Jean family originally wasn't named Jean, but then their ancestor found this treasure by accident. After painstakingly cultivating it, they changed their name to Jean and became the battle clan of the All-Heaven Star system. Waves of chatter echoed. Li Yunzi's eyes were calm as he said, "This old man will be in charge of the Heaven Trial." His voice was calm as he casually waved his right hand. A gentle breeze blew by. Dozens of people were immediately blew away without any resistance. They flew into the transfer array and disappeared. The people that were sent away were all the people that couldn't pass the second trial. Now there were only 147 left. The Heaven Trial is to comprehend this old man's battle scroll for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, don't bother opening your eyes, I'll know if you're qualified. Li Yunzi's words made the surrounding cultivators confused. However, given his prestige, everyone quieted down. Li Yunzi looked at John Conlai and slowly said, "John Conlai, you come first." As ancestor orders. John Conlai took a deep breath and took a step forward onto the newly formed square. He looked up at the motionless battle scroll and entered a strange stage as if he was being completely absorbed by the battle scroll. Wang Lin stared at John Conlai, and after a moment, his expression became serious. After 8 seconds, it seemed as if John Conlai's divine sense had split into two and one portion had fused with the battle scroll. Just at this instant, a sliver of source origin energy almost 100 times weaker than what Master Flamespark displayed came out from the battle scroll. However, at 10 seconds, it collapsed as if John Conlai's body wasn't able to accommodate that extremely weak trace of source origin energy. It would be very difficult for ordinary cultivators to notice this. If Wang Lin hadn't seen the third step inside the heaven-defying bead, he would not have noticed this secret. However, what he saw set off a huge wave in his heart. Wang Lin gasped. That battle scroll contained source origin energy. Li Yunzi's voice was calm as he slowly said, "John Conlai, qualified." After he said that, John Conlai immediately awakened from the mysterious state. The moment he awakened, his body was covered in sweat and his face was pale. He then took a few deep breaths. He was extremely weak, it was as if he had just fought a great battle. After taking a few steps back, he paid his respects to Li Yunzi before leaving the square. Not many people among the surrounding cultivators, especially the ones involved in the competition, saw through the real secret. They all had various ideas about how John Conlai had passed the trial so easily. After that, another person stepped into the square and gazed up at the battle scroll. However, among the dozen or so people that followed, 8 of them were directly sent back into the transfer array by Li Yunzi. As a result, the surrounding cultivators became even more nervous. They really couldn't see how Li Yunzi was judging the third trial. The more Wang Lin saw, the more serious he became. All of the eliminated cultivators were able to split their divine senses into the battle scroll. It was as if the battle scroll had its own soul and its own way of deciding if it would accept that person's divine sense. Li Yunzi was using this to determine if that person passed. All the ones that qualified were the same as John Conlai. They were able to split their divine senses and had a portion of it enter the battle scroll, causing that sliver of source origin energy to appear. However, no one was able to keep that source origin energy inside their body. There was another point that Wang Lin noticed. The qualified cultivators had barely managed to fuse with the battle scroll on the 9th or 10th second. Few were able to fuse at the 8th second like John Conlai did. Xu Ting's eyes lit up. He seemed to have seen some clues, but he wasn't sure. After pondering for a bit, he immediately stepped up after the last person finished. He stepped onto the square and looked at the battle scroll. Li Yunzi looked at Xu Ting. He had some impression of this junior. At this moment, he nodded and didn't speak. Xu Ting's expression was serious as he looked at the battle scroll and revealed a mysterious gaze. Black gas appeared between his eyebrows and began to rotate. At the 5th second, a portion of his divine sense split and was absorbed by the battle scroll. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he thought, 5 seconds. This person didn't have the same lucky opportunities one encountered, yet he was able to enter that state in 5 seconds. His talent is simply too amazing. Li Yunzi's eyes shined brightly. At this moment, he became serious as he stared at Xu Ting and secretly nodded. In the Zhon family, there were no more than 10 people who could enter the state in 5 seconds. Many of them had cultivated under the battle scroll for a long time to be able to enter the state in 5 seconds. As for how many people could enter the state this quickly on their first try, only 3 people in the Zhon family had done it. This child is not ordinary. Li Yunzi revealed a trace of admiration that rarely appeared in his eyes. Not only Li Yunzi, but the old monsters on the praying mats also saw the secret of the Zhon family's treasure. There was a strange force inside it, and the faster one entered the state, the more of the inheritance they could accept. However, among them, very few people knew that this power was the key to the third step they were all bitterly pursuing. Master Flamespark's eyes revealed a mysterious light. He didn't look at the battle scroll but stared at Xu Ting. He thought, this person has that talent. After 10 seconds, Xu Ting suddenly awakened. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes shined an indiscernible amount. He saw the sliver of source origin energy from the battle scroll enter Xu Ting's body. Then a very small portion of it actually remained inside Xu Ting. This discovery made Wang Lin's mind tremble. He was too clear what role this sliver of source origin energy had. Xu Ting would not notice it now, but once he reached the peak of second step, it would make an unimaginable impact on Xu Ting. This Xu Ting from planet Wang Lin has displayed open hostility toward me. He can't be allowed to live. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but killing intent had appeared in his heart. Xu Ting had revealed killing intent toward Wang Lin more than once. With Wang Lin's personality, there was no way he would allow Xu Ting to have that sliver of source origin energy. Xu Ting, qualified. Li Yunzi remembered Xu Ting's name and nodded. After pondering for a bit, he said, there are a total of 3 battle scrolls. After the passage to the Alliance star system opens, you can find me and I'll let you view the second scroll. After he said that, many surrounding cultivators felt jealous, but they didn't show it. Xu Ting looked at Li Yunzi. Even with his arrogance, he was respectful and said, thank you, Senior Li Yunzi. Even Zhon Konglai felt sour in his heart. He knew that even within the family, only about 10 people were qualified to see the second scroll. As for the third scroll, only the family head and the 2 elders had seen it, there was no 4th person. Xu Ting nodded and respectfully retreated. He looked at Wang Lin with gloomy gaze. Wang Lin looked back at Xu Ting with a cold expression. He then lifted his feet and walked toward the square. Originally, a cultivator named Zhao Yido was going to take the test next. But when he was about to enter the square, he saw Wang Lin move. He immediately retreated and revealed an embarrassed look. This person was also the person that was called down by Russell and sent away by Wang Lin with a wave of Wang Lin's sleeve after Wang Lin and Russell's first battle. At this moment, he cursed the bad luck in his heart and quickly retreated. Wang Lin's appearance immediately caught the attention of the surrounding cultivators. After all, during this celestial title competition, Wang Lin's name had shaken everyone. He had battled Russell in the human trial and devoured the thunder spirit in the earth trial. All of the surrounding cultivators were looking forward to Xu Mu's performance in the third trial. This kind of anticipation was very strong, even some of the ancestors of cultivation families were watching closely. Not only did they remember the name, Xu Mu, they had also memorized his appearance. Aside from them, the old monsters on the praying mats that represented the upper echelon of the All-Heaven star system, everyone looked over with a smile. Only Blood God let out a cold snort. After pondering for a bit, he also placed his gaze on Wang Lin. Master Flamespark smiled inside his heart. He had a headache regarding Wang Lin. No matter what, this junior was fated with him, and adding Wang Lin's relationship with Qing Shui, it was not good to oppress him. Wang Lin had made the Thunder Celestial Temple lose big on the human and earth trials. However, Li Yunzi was in charge of the heaven trial, so no matter what accident occurred, it won't affect him but Li Yunzi. At this moment, there was a glimmer of expectation as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin stepped onto the square. He clasped his hands at Li Yunzi and then looked up at the battle scroll in the air. At first glance, the word, battle, looked very ordinary, But on closer inspection, an unimaginable killing intent that seemed to come from a war suddenly crashed down. At this moment, illusions appeared before Wang Lin's eyes. It was as if the heavens and earth had all collapsed. Everything disappeared, including the square, the surrounding cultivators, and even the Thunder Celestial Temple. The only thing that remained was the word, battle. Wang Lin only felt his body tremble and his entire body entered a trance. It was as if a mysterious power had exploded from the word, battle. This power descended and took over his mind. It was as if his origin soul had been separated from his flesh. There was no longer any connection between the two. Monstrous killing intent surrounded him. Wang Lin felt like he was a mortal in a severe winter without any clothes. The chill seemed to attempt to blow up his flame of life. In a trance, Wang Lin felt like he had returned back to when the heaven-defying bead was complete. The door appeared, and the moment it opened, a wave of source origin energy suddenly appeared. The third eye slowly appeared between his eyebrows and slowly opened, but no red light came out. At this moment, Wang Lin was motionless, but his mind trembled violently. The feeling of facing the door inside the heaven-defying bead echoed once more. However, compared to the feeling back then, what he felt was infinitely weaker. Back then, Wang Lin almost collapsed after only one gaze. Now, when he looked at the word, battle, although he was shocked, he could persist. It was obvious that the source origin energy inside the word, battle, couldn't even compare to the heaven-defying bead. To Wang Lin, the heaven-defying bead was too mysterious, but this word, battle, was something he could grasp. These events seemed like they took place over a long period of time, but it all happened the moment Wang Lin raised his head. It had only been 1 second. Li Yunzi originally didn't have a good opinion of Wang Lin. Although this Shumu was able to battle Russell and had amazing spells, without Qing Shui's intervention, the one to lose would have been Shumu. As for the second trial, the reason Shumu was able to devour the Thunder Spirit was also due to luck. Li Yunzi was someone who had reached his current cultivation level through his own hard work. In his eyes, those cultivators that depended on luck were not worthy. Shumu was one of those cultivators in his eyes. However, at this moment, his eyes shined brightly like never before. He took 3 steps forward and stared at Wang Lin. It was as if there was something roaring inside his heart. 1 second. This Shumu was able to enter the state in only 1 second. Even with Li Yunzi's mental strength, he was excited. In generations of his Zhon family's history, no one had been able to enter the state in 1 second. Even his ancestor with heaven-defying talent took 2 seconds. At this moment, Li Yunzi had already forgotten about Shu Ting. Those thoughts were all replaced by Wang Lin. Not only him, all the old monsters on the praying mat were shocked. Just like Li Yunzi, they didn't think much about Wang Lin's performance in the last 2 trials, they just thought it was amusing. However, all of them began to seriously pay attention now. Blood God's pupils shrank as he stared at Wang Lin. While he was shocked, killing intent appeared in his heart once more. This child was able to enter the state in 1 second. He can't be allowed to live. As he was thinking this, he felt a killing intent lock onto himself. He turned around and saw Qing Shui coldly looking at him. Blood God coldly snorted. He suppressed the killing intent and hid it deep inside his heart. The other ancestors from families with inheritances from the celestial realm all watched intently. The admiration in the Xiong family ancestor became even stronger. The more he looked at Wang Lin, the more pleased he became. He thought, this child is no mere fish in a pond. Master Flamespark smiled, and when he looked at the shocked Li Yunzi, his smile widened. Zhong Konglai knew about the matter within the family. When he saw Wang Lin enter the state in just 1 second, he gasped and was completely stunned. As for Shu Ting, he frowned and his heart felt very complicated. He was originally a child that was favored by the heavens, but during the human trial, Shu Mu stole his thunder. Then in the earth trial, he was far inferior to Shu Mu. Now in the heaven trial, he was praised by Li Yunzi, but all of that had instantly vanished. It was as if his Shu Mu was his nemesis in life. Wang Lin's divine sense split in 2 and fused with the word, battle. A trace of source origin energy came from the word and slowly cycled through his body. Just as it was about to leave Wang Lin's body, it trembled, and this trace of source origin energy charged toward the third eye like crazy. The source origin energy rushed into the third eye that had appeared between his eyebrow. Bright red light suddenly came from his third eye. As slivers of source origin energy entered, the red light coming from his third eye became even more intense. After 10 seconds, Wang Lin awakened, and the red light gathered in his third eye suddenly gushed out in a fan shape. The red light flashed and caused all the surrounding cultivators to exclaim. The fan-shaped red light completely surrounded the battle scroll. In a trance, Wang Lin vaguely saw a strange scene in the scroll. It was a distant star system, and an old man in white waved his finger in space and wrote the word, battle. The word flashed and split into 6 different scrolls. A powerful source origin energy came from the old man. He was filled with melancholy, regret, and reluctance as he looked at the word, battle. He raised his head and looked into the stars. His eyes were suddenly filled with disbelief. Wang Lin's body trembled and the red light from his third eye disappeared. He had awakened. That scene he saw just now was due to his third eye establishing a connection with the battle scroll. What he faintly managed to see felt like an illusion, but it also felt so real. As the red light disappeared, Wang Lin's third eye gradually closed, but it didn't disappear. It turned into a red line and remained between Wang Lin's eyebrows. At this moment, Wang Lin was giving off a strange feeling. You saw it. Li Yunzi took a step and suddenly appeared before Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin, and his voice contained a trace of excitement. Wang Lin silently pondered and nodded. He could clearly feel that there was a power that even terrified him within the red line between his eyebrows. There was a hint of pain, as if that power was unwilling to remain and wanted to explode outward. Li Yunzi stared at Wang Lin. After a long time, he laughed and said, "Good. Shumu, after the celestial competition is over, come and find me. This old man will let you see the remaining 2 battle scrolls." Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but his heart was moved. From what he saw from the illusion, it was clear that there were 6 scrolls. Wang Lin remained calm as he respectfully clasped his hands. "Thank you, Senior Li Yunzi." Li Yunzi laughed and carefully looked at Wang Lin. He waved his sleeve and pulled someone to continue the heaven trial. Wang Lin turned around and walked out of the square. He found an open area and sat down. Ignoring the gazes of all the cultivators, he quietly cultivated. While he cultivated, he could clearly feel waves of pain from between his eyebrows. A feeling like he was going to lose control appeared in his heart. Wang Lin vaguely understood that the third eye had absorbed the source origin energy, and a great change had occurred. As for whether this change was good or bad, even he couldn't guess. However, one thing was certain: if he allowed the pain to continue, once it went beyond his control and rushed out, he would definitely suffer the backlash. He took a deep breath, and with a thought, he condensed endless annihilation heart restrictions. As he continued to cultivate them, 3 seals gradually formed to seal the third eye. However, the power from his third eye was too strong. This seal could only temporarily alleviate the problem. If time dragged on, he would have to strengthen it every once in a while. Although this was the case, Wang Lin didn't think it was troublesome. No matter what, the spell within the third eye will be my life-saving ace. After Wang Lin, the rest of the cultivators continued the test. After 30 minutes, the remaining cultivators had all finished the third trial. Li Yunzi's right hand reached out and the battle scroll returned to his hand. As he turned, a gust of wind swept from his body. All those that didn't qualify were sent back into the transfer array in the sky. Out of the 147 people, there were only 112 people remaining. As Li Yunzi returned to his praying mat, Master Flamespark's gaze swept past the remaining 112 people. His eyes lit up like torches and he slowly said, "The 3 trials are over, and everyone that remains are the elites of this generation. Originally, the mysterious Void 6 paths would be next to test your Tao, but since your number is already close to 108, we will skip right to One Line to Heaven. One Line to Heaven is the last event for the Celestial Title competition. Of the 108 people that will gain a celestial title, the top 36 will be named Heaven Celestials. In the One Line to Heaven trial, you all exist as phantoms. Even if you die, your body will only suffer a little damage, so it won't affect you too much. After Master Flamespark finished speaking, he slapped his bag of holding and an octagonal piece of wood appeared in his hand. He threw it into the air and the octagonal piece of wood grew. In an instant, it was more than 100 feet wide and bursts of colorful light came from it as it rotated in the sky. Enter the square. After Master Flamespark shouted, the 112 cultivators walked onto the square and sat down in the lotus position. Shortly after, Master Flamespark sent out a seal and then rays of light came from the wood. A ray of light shined on each of the 112 cultivators in the square. The moment the 5-colored light shined down, all the cultivators, including Wang Lin, lost consciousness. This was a very dense jungle. The countless towering trees with endless branches intersecting each other and their leaves seemed to form a net that covered the sky. Only small gaps within the net would allow light to enter. Beams of light descend from the sky. It looked very mysterious. The ground was covered in rotten leaves and there were poisonous insects moving while avoiding the beams of light. Just at this moment, one of the towering trees released a flash of 5-colored light and Wang Lin walked out of it. The moment he appeared, he immediately jumped and landed on a branch. He immediately used the heart restriction and hid his aura. Wang Lin had been honed by life and death situations, and this so-called One Line to Heaven was not even as dangerous as the demon spirit land. 1. He naturally wouldn't make the mistake of spreading out his divine sense the moment he arrived. At this moment, a divine sense swept by, and it didn't stop at Wang Lin, it continued to spread. However, a moment later, the divine sense panicked and quickly spread. But after just a few moments, the divine sense collapsed and a miserable scream came from the distance. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Unless I'm certain I'm stronger, I can't spread out my divine sense here. Otherwise, I'll be immediately located and targeted. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit. After he cycled his origin energy and observed his body, he was able to see some clues. It was indeed as Master Flamespark had said. The body here was exactly the same as his body, but after it died, it wouldn't impact his real body much. One line to heaven without real death would certainly allow a lot of cultivators with no real experience to go through a life and death trial. I fear this is the real purpose of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Their purpose is to raise real cultivators. Wang Lin frowned and attempted to merge with the world. However, since this wasn't the real world, it had no effect. After pondering for a bit, there was a flash of smoke and he disappeared. The human, earth, and heaven trials were only tests. This One Line to Heaven is the real battle for the celestial titles. There is no good or evil. If I want number 1, then I need to kill the most. As Wang Lin moved, there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Just at this moment, another divine sense spread out and scanned the area. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he quickly moved. He was very fast, and an instant, he saw the cultivator that was spreading out the divine sense. This person was Zhao Yidao, who had gotten interrupted twice by Wang Lin during the 3 trials. When he appeared, he was extremely confused by his surroundings. Following his family's teachings, he subconsciously spread out his divine sense to observe his surroundings. However, the moment his divine sense spread out, a powerful sense of crisis shrouded him. He panicked and realized he had made a big mistake. He immediately wanted to leave, but at this moment, a black mist flew by behind him. A powerful killing intent appeared and immediately devoured the escaping Zhao Yidao. A miserable scream echoed through the trees. Wang Lin stood 1,000 feet away and coldly stared at the black mist. The mist moved as if had absorbed that Zhao cultivator along with his skin and bones. A moment later, a person walked out. It was Shu Ting. He licked his lips and stared at Wang Lin. As the two exchanged gazes across the 1,000 feet distance, popping sounds could be heard. Shu Ting dreaded Wang Lin a lot. Unless it was the last resort, he didn't want to take the initiative to provoke Wang Lin, so he grimly said, "How about we leave our battle until the end?" Wang Lin coldly looked at Shu Ting before turning around and disappearing in a flash. Getting the most kills was more important than killing Shu Ting. Shu Ting let out a sigh of relief. He then retreated into the mist and quickly went the other direction. It was as if the two had set this place as the boundary and split the area in half. Neither would enter the other's territory. Wang Lin didn't waste time to find people one by one. Instead, he simply found a large tree and sat down. Then his divine sense spread out and swept the area. The moment his divine sense spread out, more than 10 people's divine senses exploded and charged toward Wang Lin. In this place, even if you don't try to kill others, they will come to kill you. Wang Lin spat out an object. It was the celestial sealing stamp. This small object floated before Wang Lin and gave off bursts of golden light. 2 out of the hundreds of thousands of the golden seals had the origin souls of cultivators sealed within them, and the power of these 2 seals was obviously different from the others. Wang Lin wasn't sure if these illusionary origin souls could be sealed. Wang Lin was calm as he waited for the first person looking to die to arrive. After several breaths of time, a figure shot out like lightning from the jungle to the right. However, the moment the figure came within 1,000 feet of Wang Lin, the person was startled. After seeing that the target was Wang Lin, the person's eyes were filled with terror and he chose to escape without any hesitation. From beginning to end, Wang Lin was calm. The moment the cultivator appeared, the celestial sealing stamp charged out. It was extremely fast as it chased the escaping cultivator. As the cultivator panicked, his hands formed a seal and a spell began to appear. However, these spells had no effect on the celestial sealing stamp. The celestial sealing stamp instantly closed in and suddenly grew. It mercilessly pressed down and a large amount of golden runes appeared to seal off his escape. The cultivator's eyes were filled with despair as he slapped his bag of holding and hundreds of flying swords appeared. He wanted to resist, but as a thunderous rumble echoed, all the flying swords collapsed. The celestial sealing stamp smashed down and he let out a miserable groan. As the cultivator dissipated, a golden rune flew out and flashed. A moment later, the golden rune was filled with intelligence. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he withdrew the celestial sealing stamp. After carefully observing it, he slowly raised his head as he looked into the distant jungle and calmly said, "How long do you all want to wait before you attack?" The jungle before him was completely silent. A moment later, 4 people walked out from the jungle. All 4 of them were at the corporeal yang stage. Their auras fused together into one that could vaguely match Wang Lin's aura. The 4 of them looked at each other. One of their eyes became vicious, and without a word he slapped his bag. A gourd immediately flew out. His right hand formed a seal and then a red flame came out from the gourd toward Wang Lin. 1. Demon Spirit Land is the place Wang Lin got sent by the All-Seer. This video will end here.